Hold on, I got to put my glasses on.
Internet password.
We're live. I'd like to call to order the September 9th, 2025 Columbia Borough Council meeting. Could I have a roll call, please?
Councilperson Singh.
Here.
Councilperson Compton.
Here.
Councilperson Stahl.
Here.
Councilperson Fisher.
Here.
Councilperson Deasy.
Here.
Councilperson Murphy.
Here.
Councilperson Rivard.
Here.
Mayor West.
Here.
And it looks like we have Reverend James Snyder here to offer an invocation. Is that correct? All right, please rise if you would like to.
Let us go to God in prayer. Holy and gracious God, we come before you with gratitude. We thank you for being a God of love who is with us now in this very place. We thank you for making each and every one of us in your own image with dignity and infinite worth. We thank you for the calling that you have given every one of us to be good stewards of your creation and to love our neighbor as ourselves. We all come to this room tonight as complex human beings, carrying burdens, carrying joy, and carrying hope, trusting that you alone can hold us together in your love and your peace. And so we pray that you will be glorified tonight through the decisions of this town council. We pray that your eyes will be upon us and that our eyes will see the lives of all connected and how our common good is upheld when we listen and respond to those most vulnerable among us. We pray for wisdom, for strength, for courage to do what is right and good for all citizens. May we put the interest of others above our own. May we act with love for the common good. May we be good neighbors, recognizing our image in your image in every person here. We thank you for this council, for our mayor, for our borough staff, and all those who work in this place, the EMS team, our police officers, so that we may call this place a wonderful home. We pray this in all of your mighty names. Amen.
Councilperson Stahl, would you like to lead us in a pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Announcement of executive sessions, there were none. Additions, deletions, or reorganization of the agenda. I need to add an item. It'll be number 12E. E as in Edward. Or I'm sorry, it'll be 12F as in Frank. And it will be to consider a request for a zoning special exception. I think that can cover it, right? Do I have to be any more specific now?
No.
All right, okay, good. All right. Are there any other deletions or additions or any changes that need done to the agenda? Could I have a motion to approve the reorganized agenda?
So moved. Second.
A motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Stahl to approve the reorganized agenda. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. Next, we have a police department promotion and recognition ceremony. Chief, take it away.
Thank you. It is my honor to present to you this evening officers with the Columbia Borough Police Department who are deserving of recognition. We are quite proud of our officers who serve this community, ensuring the safety of its citizens. This evening, I will present to you officers deserving of recognition due to both their achievements and their actions in the line of duty. First, I will call Officer Holly Arndt forward. going to read a short bio that was written by Elise Gallagher. Lieutenant Holly Arndt is a graduate of York College, where she earned her bachelor's degree in criminal justice. She began her law enforcement career in 2004 as a corrections officer at York County Prison, transitioning to a deputy sheriff with York County in 2006, and beginning her tenure with the Columbia Borough Police Department as a patrol officer in March of 2008. From the start of her career, Officer Arndt displayed leadership characteristics. She assisted in developing the field training program for new officers. She established the department's defensive tactics program and became the first and only female officer to achieve the rank of lieutenant in the department's 130-year history. Along with her leadership and development roles, Officer Arndt has been a member of the Lancaster County Crash Investigative Unit, Lancaster County Forensic Team, and Lancaster County Crisis Intervention Team. She also represents the department and community both in and out of law enforcement roles. As a girls basketball coach for the CBAA, participating in the Bigs in Blue mentorship program through the Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and as a lead instructor at the Harrisburg Area Community College Municipal Police Academy. And most recently, as a participating member in the development of yearly in-service training for the Municipal Police Officers Education and Training Commission. The updates that officers take every year is what Lieutenant Arndt had collaborated on and will be used in training by all officers in the Commonwealth. Lieutenant Arndt constantly strives to improve herself and the members of the department. She has been either the primary or secondary trainer for every officer that has been hired by this department in the past 11 years. She continues to devote herself to field training new officers as she progressed from patrol officer to corporal and then to sergeant over the last 3 years. Throughout that time, she has continued to be self-motivated, completing the leadership certification program through the FBI National Academy and the Police Leadership Series offered by Penn State Criminal Justice Program. Lieutenant Arndt will also be attending the acclaimed Northwestern University School of Police Staff and Command, an intense 10-week course reserved for command-level police supervisors. Lieutenant Arndt carries on the legacy of her father, Donald Granny Arndt, by continuing to be a pillar of service to the Borough of Columbia. Now I'd like to call forward Elise Gallagher, Kim Jimenez, and Tracy Arndt to assist with the pinning of the badge. And also you have the lieutenant bars. The position of lieutenant is new to the Columbia Borough Police Department. In fact, Holly is the first in the over 100-year history of the department. The position of lieutenant is responsible for the day-to-day operations of the department, and the lieutenant stands in for the chief of police in his absence. it's not easy.
That's what happened to moms does too.
All right, please join me in congratulating Lieutenant Holly Arndt. Speech? No.
I would just like to say this is an honor. It's an honor every day to wear this badge and to wear this patch. I love Columbia, and I'm excited about this new position. So thank you.
For our last presentation this evening, we will recognize 3 officers for saving the life of a woman having an emotional breakdown on the Columbia-Wrightsville Bridge. I will now call forward Lieutenant Holly Arndt, Officer Frank Ember, and Officer Rebecca Blatt. All 3 are being presented this evening with a letter of commendation, for the Life-Saving Award. On March 29th, 2025, at approximately 1:56 p.m., the West Hempfield Township Police Department was dispatched to Route 462, the Columbia-Wrightsville Bridge, by Lancaster County-wide Communications for a check on the welfare, after a female was reportedly sitting on the ledge of the bridge. The Columbia Borough Police Department responded to assist. Officer Ember was the first to arrive on scene and located the female. She appeared to be in an extreme emotional distress. Officer Ember attempted to build a rapport and to convince her to come down off the ledge. The female was not willing to come off the ledge on her own. Officer Ember continued to speak with her while waiting for additional officers to arrive. Officer Blatt and Lieutenant Arndt arrived on scene, and Officer Blatt and Lieutenant Arndt assumed a position of advantage to grab the female. Officer Blatt visually prompted Officer Ember when officers were in a position to attempt to remove her. Officer Ember kept the female's attention, allowing time for Officer Blatt and Lieutenant Arndt to grab the subject and pull her off the ledge to safety. At the conclusion of the incident, the woman expressed her struggles and her intent to hurt herself and was transported by the West Hempfield Police Department to a hospital for mental health treatment. It is through the quick intervention by all the officers and a disregard for their own safety that the female was safely removed from the bridge without harm. So please join me in thanking these officers. You good?
No, that's okay. I'm just trying to get out of the picture.
Can't see between them anyway.
That is all we have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys can stay. Well, save me a seat. I'll be out then, okay? We'll just give a minute for the. Evan, I let Phil know, and he replied and said, so, yep, now you have his number, or have his email and everything. Who is swearing? We have to appoint first, and then we can swear. How's that sound? I forgot about the swearing part. All right. Okay. Now, moving on, we have citizen comment, non-agenda items only. The first sign up we have is Sharon Lintner.
Good evening. I wanted to ask you at the last meeting,
Is that mic on?
well, yeah,
Yes.
I just need a little closer. At the last meeting, you were planning to straighten out the misunderstanding with the EDC about the Realtor and so forth. Have you accomplished that?
We have another meeting scheduled for tomorrow, I believe.
Yeah, tomorrow at 2:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew we had another call
And-
scheduled. I couldn't-
On the same line, have you closed on the BIOS loan yet? Did we have closing?
Not yet. They're,
I will speak about that during my
Yeah.
report. We have
Okay.
a couple other things that have just kind of popped up that we've got to take care of and may need to redo, but we will be closing on that very shortly.
Okay, where I'm going with this is, so since you had this misunderstanding with regard to the EDC and sounded like they didn't want to help with marketing, I'm wondering, will that jeopardize this ability to get the loan or anything?
no.
No, that does
Okay.
not have, that doesn't have any effect on that.
Okay, all right, very good, thank you. And this part is not something I'm questioning, but I received a text message the other evening about it. Someone who apparently goes out to the islands and leaves their boat and trailer parked in the lot. I'm looking at the code, this is him asking, and the way it reads sounds like only vehicles with trailers are to be in the lot, nothing in the code about Memorial Day to Labor Day. And what did I think about reading it? So I read it, and, I guess looking at it, I went down and looked at the sign, and the park does say it's by ordinance 719, and that's what he references. So I don't know, it kind of looks like, when did that come into play? In other words, is there an ordinance that supersedes that, or I don't know. He's just saying he didn't know where that part of it came from.
Right.
You
I
can
can
speak to
look,
that.
yeah, I mean, ordinance 719 would not be, right, if it's in the code, it's going to be in the codified ordinances, so that may have I will have to take a look at that, but
Yeah.
that could have changed.
I mean, it says 7/19 in the bottom of the metal sign down there that says Labor Day or Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't have an answer for him. I
Well,
told
I
him I
mean,
would ask.
He should, I mean, he can feel free to,
Sure, but he contacted me, so I'm just telling you, because he knows I come to the meetings, so.
The ordinance was reworked, I should say another ordinance was created when the Columbia Crossing and the boat ramp and all were completed. That was all redone.
yeah.
Prior to that, there was an ordinance that set some rules and regulations for the park. And I think the addition at that time was just the Memorial Day to Labor Day section.
Would the sign then, should the sign reference that ordinance rather than 7/19?
No, 7/19 is the latest. That
Oh.
overrode the old one.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, next sign up is Frank Daltrick.
Good evening, you all. I'd like to kind of speak for me and Sharon back here. When we come to these meetings, we're always very courteous and respectful. We would like to have that too. There's some other things that happened. We both left early the other night, and it seemed like a lot of talk was brought up, maybe not exactly to us directly, but it was brought up to us. I'd like to, again, how many times talk about the streaming? And I left early last week, went home, got in my favorite chair, no streaming. So I called Sharon, no streaming. I'm to the point, I don't believe there's anything wrong with the streaming. I think somebody controls that. It just seems like when there's something important coming up, how many times has this happened? Folks, I've seen it on the website many a time. I just never would believe it, but I truly believe it now. The last meeting, Brian, the finance manager, was hired, and I couldn't believe, I don't know how to say this, the pats on the back and the hoop and hollering and everything. This guy never put a day in this office, and yet I asked, did he know anybody before he come here? Yet everybody was just so overwhelmed. And again, here's another manager that was hired, full wages, at least I think. I don't think we really know what he's getting yet, but yet I always thought we hold back wages, and then after they put their 30, 60, 90 days in, then they would get some for that. Number 3 here, the meeting that they had on the, I guess the funding for, is it McGinnis? I'm not quite sure, but we had, council had 2 realtors here, one at different times, and council had said EDC was supposed to be here. They didn't give a reason, but I think we all know why they didn't come. And again, down the road, I hope somebody brings up what's going on with the Ridge Avenue, the extra land that we have. Don't need an answer now. Don't take my time. I would appreciate, because here's revenue that we need. The last borough manager that we had that left said we are broke. So shouldn't we be trying to get some of these properties sold and get that money in? And I guess probably one of the last things I have is on Mark, our previous borough manager. He left, supposedly quit. We had Chris Vera that was fired. Isn't there some way we can investigate these people when they're gone, find out why we had so much of a turnover? Shouldn't the public know this? The other thing is, the last thing that I got is, I guess two of the councils commended that they apologized, I guess, for some of the things that was said here, I guess, to the chief. I won't go much further with that, but anyway, that's, thank you for taking up your time.
All right. The next sign up we have is Tom Ziegler.
Good evening. As a lifelong resident of Columbia, I would like to submit some input into the open position you have of borough manager. I understand that Chief Brommer is being considered for this position. I have worked with the chief for a number of years on the Civil Service Commission. He has impressed me very much as a devoted leader of this community. I just wanted to, I think that he would make an excellent borough manager, and you people and Columbia should be lucky to have him step up to accept the position. I strongly believe that, and that's how I feel about it. And I think being, like I said, being a lifelong borough residents, I think you should take, some of my thought into consideration when you make that decision. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else that wanted to speak that did not get a chance to sign up? Yes, Mr. Meshi.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Tom said. Chief Brommer is a local.
Yeah.
My mouth's not big enough.
Well, it does, but it doesn't necessarily. Yeah.
All right, agreeing with what Tom said, Chief Brommer's a local citizen. He knows the ins and outs of this town. He's definitely an excellent person to be the borough manager. And I know there's a time frame between now and when he retires from being chief of police, but he's already done that job twice. He's been part of that. He's done it both times. Now we have a lieutenant, which we didn't have. So I think it's such an easy move. I mean, we need to keep, and talking about, actually, Frank actually made sense once. Can we get some people that will stick around? We got one. Thank you.
Thanks.
Madam Chairman, wasn't that an item?
Was it what?
An agenda item.
It is an agenda.
It is an agenda item.
Well, I got an open mic, right?
Right.
No disrespect to you, it sounds like it's just on the move to the job.
And is anyone else wanted to speak? Yes, Jesse.
Real quick, I just wanted to check in on an item I brought up some, I guess, months ago at this point, about the ordinance for keeping chickens. I just want to see if there's any progress on that, if anyone's looking into that or not. My wife keeps asking me about it.
I would like that to be a topic. I do believe that everybody should have the right to have chickens. It's no different than a different pet. There's ordinances that control nuisance. Well, technically. But yeah, I'm in favor, and I'd like to see that move forward, because I think that should be an option for everybody.
I think right now we're in the bandwidth situation where there's not a whole lot of bandwidth for those things. But yes.
I'll be a squeaky wheel for a little while. No problem. They're quick.
Thanks, Jeff. Thank you.
Thanks. Mhm. All right, is there anyone else that wanted to speak that did not get a chance? All right. Next, minutes for approval. We have 3 separate sets of minutes. The first, I have a motion to approve the Borough Council meeting minutes for August 12th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
The motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Stahl, to approve the Borough Council meeting minutes for August 12th, 2025. Questions, comments, concerns? No, seeing none. I have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Stahl, to approve the Borough Council meeting minutes for August 12th, 2025. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Next, could I have a motion to approve the Borough Council meeting minutes for August 12th, 2025?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Stahl, to approve the Borough Council meeting minutes for August 26th, 2025. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Next, could I have a motion to approve the Borough Council workshop minutes for September 2nd, 2025?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Stahl, to approve the Borough Council workshop minutes for September 2nd, 2025. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, presentation and acceptance of reports, community development. Councilperson Kaufman.
I'd like to acknowledge the receipt of the Columbia Market House report for August 2025. And I do have a comment on that. Bonnie has taken a great stride. I believe she had a vegetable stand, canned goods stand. What else? What's that? Another bakery. And there's going to be a taco stand there. And she replaced, she's in the process of, we're meeting tomorrow to sign a contract. Replace the restaurant as well. So the market house should be full then. So,
Will that restaurant be open any days other than Saturday or just Saturdays?
that's going to be part of the conversation tomorrow.
Okay.
So, thank you for a good job. She had a wedding yesterday that was longer, or Sunday that was longer than long. But
All right.
so I have.
Okay. Public Works and Property, Councilperson Stahl.
Yes, I'd like to acknowledge the Public Works and Property Report for August 2025. Any questions? Comments? Got some new streets out there and sidewalks, so that looks good on Walnut Street. Chestnut's coming along.
Yep. And I know we had a number of streets on the list to be paved by our staff. We gonna get to all of them this year, or some of them are gonna be pushed till next year?
We're not gonna get to all of them.
All right. I didn't want to be negative, but I thought with staffing issues, we were not. Okay.
What about Avenue G between 9th and 10th Street?
Jake, Avenue G.
Between 9th and 10th?
That's not currently paved, is it?
That's not even
Isn't it?
That's a G.
HI.
Yeah, G's behind.
Is that right behind you and right behind me? I didn't even know what that was.
Pete asked me to ask.
I did not. I firmly reject that.
It's on record. It's in the minutes.
I kind of like the stone.
Anything else on Public Works? Oh, I know we're gonna start getting asked, and I didn't. Oh, it is in here. Okay, the last day for yard waste is Monday, November 10th, and leaf collection begins Monday, October 13th. So let's just throw that out there. We need to make sure that that gets updated on the website as well, because people are going to be starting to ask. All right, anything else on Public Works property? No. All right, Mayor Lutz, Chief Brommer.
Because of the large agenda tonight, I'll be brief as possible. I must say, and I'm glad there are several members of the Civil Service Commission here tonight. Not only, you heard the impressive resume of Lieutenant Arnold, which I find to be quite impressive. But this wasn't the picking of a person for that job as lieutenant. Was not just, I think we'll hire this person or we'll promote this person. The same thing goes for our sergeants and our corporals. The Civil Service Commission developed tests that all those wanting to seek that advancement must take that test, and they must score to a certain level on that test. They also must go through quite a rigorous interview process with members of the police fraternity, mostly from other chiefs from other departments. So it's not just, hey, we like this person, we're going to promote them. They go through quite an extensive testing procedure. And as you can see, Lieutenant Arndt came out of it with flying colors. So I wanted everybody to understand that. The other thing, last week, I spoke of West Nile virus. And at that time, I said there were 5 cases in Lancaster County. If you saw the morning paper, there was another case again popped up in Lancaster County. And I want to again remind folks that even though we have this dry weather, we may have some rain tonight and possibly into tomorrow. But tires, water accumulating in old tires is one of the best breeding spots for mosquitoes. The same thing goes for bird baths and any small body of water that may be just sitting around. Please get rid of those things. The problem's really bad right now. Haven't seen anything on spraying yet in Lancaster County, but we need to be careful. This is the time right now where the mosquitoes are probably at their worst. So I wanted to remind everybody of that. And that's all I have, Madam President.
Chief.
I would just like to inform council and the public that the new finance manager, Brian Christensen, will start this Thursday, September 11th.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Action items. We have quite a full agenda here, so let's get to it. First of all, could I have a motion to authorize the bill payments?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Councilperson Murphy, second by Councilperson Stahl to authorize the bill payments. Are there any questions? No, seeing none. Motion by Councilperson Murphy, second by Councilperson Stahl to authorize the bill payments. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, next, we have 2 Public Works employees that we're being asked to authorize the employment. So first, I have a motion to authorize staff to extend an offer of employment to Barry Vogel as Highway Worker 2, contingent upon background check and drug screen, beginning at a rate of $23.55 per hour, with an increase to $26.16 following the 90-day probationary period.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilperson Fisher, second by Councilperson Stahl to authorize staff to extend that offer of employment. Are there any questions, comments, concerns? Is this one that we were able to get from the advertising in the farm?
This one wasn't, the next one.
The next one was? That was a good call to advertise in the farm thing. All right, Pete. All right, if there's no further questions on that, I have motion by Councilperson Fisher, second by Councilperson Stahl to authorize staff to extend an offer of employment to Barry Vogel as Highway Worker 2, contingent upon background check and drug screen, beginning at a rate of $23.55 per hour, with an increase to $26.16 per hour following the 90-day probationary period. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Next, whereas to authorize staff to extend an offer of employment to Dwayne Jones as a Highway Worker 2, contingent upon background check and drug screen, beginning at a rate of $23.55 per hour, with an increase to $26.16 per hour following the 90-day probationary period.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Councilperson Fisher, second by Councilperson Stahl, to authorize staff to extend an offer of employment to Dwayne Jones as Highway Worker 2, contingent upon background check and drug screen, beginning at a rate of $23.55 per hour, with an increase to $26.16 per hour following the 90-day probationary period. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. Next, we had previously hired Elise Crawford for the position of zoning officer to zoning officer. So do I have a motion to adopt resolution 2025-19, appointing Elise Crawford as Borough zoning officer?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilperson Fisher, second by Councilperson Geezy, to adopt resolution 2025-19, appointing Elise Crawford as Borough zoning officer. Yes, Frank?
Do you know what her salary will be?
That was in the previous, when we hired her. This is just the appointment as the zoning officer.
So nobody
I don't have
will.
that information right here.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions, comments, or concerns? No, seeing none, I have a motion by Councilperson Fisher, second by Councilperson Geezy, to adopt resolution 2025-19, appointing Elise Crawford as Borough zoning officer. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? And Mayor Lutz, do you want to do the swearing in now
Sure,
so that
sure.
we can get
Can
that
someone
done?
grab a Bible out of that cabinet?
We forgot about that part until this afternoon.
Yeah, you gotta come on.
I'm sorry, I hadn't met you either.
Hi.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Move back here. Raise your right hand, please, left hand on the Bible, repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the Commonwealth, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. Congratulations. It's official.
All right.
We'll give you your chicken problem.
Oh my gosh.
Personnel information.
Sorry. No, we don't need that because it's not on tonight's agenda. All right. All right. Next, we would like to, do I have a motion to adopt resolution 2025-20, appointing Jack Brommer as interim borough manager at a rate of $2,000 per month in addition to his current duties and pay rate as chief of police?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Councilperson Fisher, second by Councilperson Stahl, to adopt that resolution. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns? Anyone? All right. Frank?
Don't have the agenda, but this was the 2000s in a added on to his chief's salary, which it would be what? What would the salary be for here?
I honestly, I don't,
118.
yeah, per year.
You say 100.
18 per year.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you. And usually, any hire, there's a resume. We got no resumes, none whatsoever.
We're appointing him as interim.
You're adding him to the payroll. And then the other thing for council's information, I'll make this statement. the good old boys and girls is still flourishing in Columbia. Now, I made that statement for some of them so they could apologize to Jack. They did that last week after we all went home. So apparently he got some bad information, so I give him something to apologize to Jack for. Thank you.
Are there any other questions on this resolution? I have a motion by Councilperson Fisher, a second by Councilperson Stahl to adopt resolution 2025-20, appointing Jack Brommer as interim borough manager at a rate of $2,000 per month in addition to his current duties and pay rate as chief of police. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, we have an interim. Next. Do we have a motion to authorize staff to offer to extend an offer of employment to Ron Yutz for the position of part-time assistant borough manager at a rate of $50 per hour, not to exceed 30 hours per week?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilperson Fisher, second by Councilperson Stahl to authorize staff to extend that offer of employment. Are there any questions, comments, concerns?
Madam President, I think there's a PDF that can show this financially. Do you have that? Bill, you can.
I do.
For council's information, because this will come into play in the budget. And as you can see, going through this scenario, you're looking at saving $16,331 over had your borough manager continued on over the next 7 months.
Right.
So that will have to be factored into your budget this year.
Yep.
Going along with that, not only is it $16,000 savings, but you're not paying any benefits for this scenario, any additional benefits.
Right.
So you can figure another $12,000. You're talking something like $28,000 savings by going through this exercise and doing this. I think it's important to know.
Yes, thank you. I was gonna put something together and I just did not get there. Are there any, but I wanna make sure there's no other questions from the board. Frank?
Again, no resumes. And was this position put out to the equal opportunity housing, not housing, equal opportunity hiring procedure?
We are not required to post or advertise any positions that we have.
Compliance with the EEOC doesn't really have anything to do
Right.
with posting positions.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Compliance in-
My mind wasn't ready
compliance
for you.
with The Equal Opportunity Employment Act doesn't really have anything to do with posting of positions, how you treat people that are working.
And that apply for you.
Exactly, yes.
Who was it originally to be for? Who
People
was that?
Apply, it does not require the posting of any job, and nothing in the Borough Code requires you to advertise for any job. I just want to be clear about that.
I know Heather brought that out before. I didn't see that. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? No? All right. I have a motion by Councilperson Fisher and a second by Councilperson Stahl to authorize staff to extend an offer of employment to Ron Yutz for the position of part-time assistant borough manager at a rate of $50 per hour, not to exceed 30 hours per week. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. And Chief, you have Ron all queued up.
We are having our first meeting tomorrow.
Awesome.
So he comes on as of tomorrow then? Okay.
Yep. All right, next, we would like to extend an offer of employment to Jack Brommer for the position of full-time borough manager, commencing after retirement as chief of police at a starting rate of $110,000 per year, contingent upon a signed employment contract.
So moved.
Second.
And I have a motion by Councilperson Fisher and a second by Councilperson Stahl to extend that offer. Are there any questions, comments, concerns?
I haven't seen a contract.
No, it's still being developed. That's why I had contingent on it.
And I can't imagine we vote for a signed contract when we haven't seen it.
We would have to approve that contract separately before it's signed. So I envision that one coming to us by the meeting on the 23rd.
So we're voting on something that we had to vote on later on before we do it. I'm confused here.
Evan, were you going to say something?
I was just gonna say, I think you're voting on hiring him contingent upon the terms and conditions that are in that contract.
Right.
You have the
It
basic,
just
you have the framework, right? You have the salary.
No, I don't. I don't have any framework.
This gives us the ability to work on getting that
Correct.
all
Yes.
down.
So am I right in saying that if we can't come up with an agreed upon contract, then our voting would be null and void?
Correct,
Correct.
because the signed contract that's agreed to by everyone is a
Okay.
contingency of the hiring. Correct.
That's number one thing. I'm totally against contracts. The second thing is, we hired Jack as interim borough manager. I fully endorse Jack. I think he's a perfect person for the job. I wanted him to come. I went to him early on for him to go after the job. But I don't think it's fair for the incoming elected officials not to have a say in somebody we're going to hire next year. So I'm against making this decision right now, but I understand other people aren't. I just want to be clear on that.
I'd just like to comment a little bit in response to that. In this situation, it's not that I disagree entirely. I don't want to make decisions that would be required to be abided in the future, that I don't know how to say it other than that in making the decision to hire, it's at this point, it's setting up a plan for the stability of the borough and the stability of management and staff and for the running of this organization. And every council always has an opportunity to make changes to the way that the organization is set up and run. So at any point, any new council can come in and make a change to any decision that would be made here now. But in my mind, we're setting a path forward that the chief can aim for, and also that the staff and the borough as a whole, as an organization, can look at as the plan moving forward. So it's setting forth a plan. This is how it's going to happen, unless the will of council proves otherwise in the future, which is always a possibility.
Right, and that's why I disagree with the contract. Because we sign a contract, and the next council decides no.
Am I mistaken in understanding a contract as being, well, I don't even know the terms of the contract, so
No.
we can discuss that
Right.
separately, other than this being the plan to move towards that
And what we
process.
what we could do is, when the contract is presented to us, is to put like review after a year, which would give the new council an opportunity to look at what we looked at.
They have an opportunity every year.
Pennsylvania is a completely,
Right.
we have said it before, Pennsylvania is completely at-will employment state.
My-
At will.
my-
A new council can come in and decide that they don't want Jack to be the borough manager, and they don't want Paula, and they don't want Jake, and they don't want the new finance manager. They can dismiss them all and hire all new people. That's their will if they so vote that way. That's life. I mean, I've lived and worked in Pennsylvania my whole life. I've lost jobs because of that already. It's an at-will state. And when they don't need you anymore, guess what? Goodbye.
Well,
Project's over, we don't need you.
again, I'm in 100% in favor of Jack. I just don't agree with the way the terms were set up.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know, but I wanted the board comments first, so.
I think we're fortunate, as the one resident who spoke earlier. I think we're fortunate to find ourselves in this position where we have an excellent candidate to step in, an excellent candidate to take over in the future. We have a rock-solid plan that makes sense, and I think the borough deserves that. As Peter said, having a plan to move into the next year is important for stability, not just for staff and borough here, but for the residents. And to your point, I couldn't think of a better candidate than Jack.
No, I agree 100%. It's not the candidate himself.
Mhm.
It's the whole process I disagree with.
One thing I will say is, as two of us that were faced with the prospect of having to find a borough manager within a month of taking our seats at this table, I would not wish that on any new coming council people at all. That was not a good situation to be thinking about having to do right off the bat. And I think while I was at first unsure of the whole offering putting that out there and hiring Jack now, I understand that it is important for the stability of the borough and to set that tone for the new people that are gonna come in. I'd hate for them to be thinking that's the first thing we have to think about.
Well, you're using that as when we got in. I'll say this. In 2019, when we were elected, both the solicitor and the engineering positions were open. And the president at the time, Kelly, invited us in to be part of it. So that even though we couldn't make an actual vote decision, we had the opportunity to be part of that process on who they hired. And all I'm saying is, it's not that I don't want Jack. Again, no disrespect at all. But in November, we could hire Jack full-time. And the new council will have an opportunity to at least agree with it and understand what the process. And the fact that you're saying that after a month in office, we had to hire a new borough manager. Jack is going to be the interim manager through March or May, April, May. So they'll have 6 months, 5 or 6 months before they have to make a decision if that was the scenario. So like I said, I think it's just a little too fast for me. And again, I don't agree with the contract, so. But this means no disrespect to Jack. The chief is an honorable man and I think would be a perfect person for that job.
So to lock this position in for next year. Understand it?
Yes.
Okay.
Sharon.
Okay, I have very much respect for Jack Brummer. So I just want to put that out there. Seems everybody does. So that's not the question here. And I'm just asking, I understand hiring now and you need an interim manager, you need them now. So I get that. But hiring full-time for 8 months out, I mean, that's a stretch, I think. And as taxpayers, I think, we have every right to question things like salary and this type of a move. But it almost seems like there's some underlying animosity if we question anything because he's so beloved. But I think it's our civic duty to ask these questions because we're paying a salary. So anyone in the public sector obviously knows that. And I think he's okay with it, with the questions and comments. I think some other people are not. I also just wanted to say, if there's a contract and you say it's at will and so forth, can't the borough stand to be sued? Contract. So they could elect to not hire, but couldn't they, if there's already been a contract?
It depends on what the terms of the contract are.
And we don't know,
And
right?
we don't know that yet, but I know that in the past, when there have been employment contracts, like for managers and things like that, they haven't had an employment term. It's not like a contract where we say you are going to be, generally anyhow, like I said, we don't know what the terms of this one will be, but it's not that the term of the contract is 3 years, and if you are fired prior to that, we owe you salary for the next year and a half that you weren't here. Where I don't think that's not how the employment contracts that we've done in the past year anyhow have worked.
Okay.
So it provides some things, but I don't think that term of employment, Jack, you can.
I just wanted to, I know council's aware, but inform the public that I currently have a contract. I've had a contract for the past 14 years.
For the police?
That's
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
That's correct. So it hasn't affected the way that I do this job. I'll be strongly committed to this community, do my best, and work hard, I assure you.
Oh, I don't doubt that.
I just, the
That's-
contract's important for me,
Mhm.
For my stability and for my family as well. And I'm the one that asks for it, because that's what I'm used to now, as far as the police department is concerned. And that's what I'm asking for as borough manager.
No, I just was commenting to what Councilman Murphy said about the suing, not suing me, whatever you said.
I've been on a council where we
You
dismissed
said
the
at
borough
will,
manager, where we
and-
dismissed the borough manager.
Yeah, but I just didn't know if the new council would have the ability, well, and even if they had the ability to fire, could the person that had the contract then sue? That's all I was asking. I wasn't questioning anything about your ability or anything like that. Okay.
Quite a
Thank-
few former borough managers had contracts.
I'd just like.
And they don't include.
Time,
Yeah,
right.
it's not an
Terms.
NFL contract,
No.
right, where, yeah.
I'd just like to speak to to the aspect of it's 8 months in advance. The point, and this is my personal opinion, is that it's not in an effort to control the future. It's intended to communicate the direction that we want to go currently. And that's because if we would just do the interim position and not say anything about the future and allow that decision to just come due when it does, it would be 6 months of questioning in terms of like Columbia Borough as a whole. Okay, what are you guys doing? You're just sitting there with an interim. Who's going to be the borough? Why aren't you advertising for the position? Those types of questions are answered with this path versus leaving that all in behind a closed door. Even if we intended to kind of bring that up, it would be behind a closed door. This allows it to be out in the open. This is the intention, but certainly every council has the right and ability to make its own decision. And Chief understands that. I specifically asked the chief, are you ready to handle the nature of being on the more political side of this local government. Of course, he's up to the challenge, or else he wouldn't have gotten this far.
I just wanted to add too, for the last, I mean, this isn't something new. We've been talking about this since, we've talked about the lack of succession plans and stability, things like that, since I've been on council for this newest term. And pretty soon we're going to be ending the second year of my last term because I won't be running again. I've already made that very clear. But in that time, starting now, actually, starting on Thursday when our next finance manager starts, in that 2 years, less than 2 years' time, we'll have our fourth finance manager, our third borough manager. That is not stability. That is not what you want. This whole idea of doing it this way is to set up some stability. So you know so it's completely out in the open what the thoughts of council are. The next council can say the hell with it. We don't want it. That's up to them. But the point of the matter is this. At least you're putting something out there that tries to show that you're looking ahead and trying to bring some stability back into some positions that have been pretty unstable for the last 2 years.
Any further questions, comments, concerns? All right, hearing nothing further, I have a motion by Councilperson Fisher, second by Councilperson Stahl, to extend an offer of employment to Jack Brommer for the position of full-time borough manager commencing after retirement as chief of police at a starting rate of $110,000 per year, contingent upon the signed employment contract. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
No.
All right. Next, we have, could I have a motion to authorize payment number 1 to Iron Eagle Excavating for the McGinnis Innovation Park project in the amount of $125,838.47.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilperson Stahl, second by Councilperson Murphy to authorize the first payment to Iron Eagle Excavating. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Do we have the money?
Yes, we do. Yes, and I will be, I have some information that I can send out then. I've spent the last 2 weeks slicing and dicing numbers and gathering that up. So, yes, we have the money. And if anyone has not seen it, there is now a stone driveway to the property. It looks awesome. So, and that will serve 2 purposes. One, it, with the stone there, it knocks the stuff off the tires before it gets out on the street. The second part of that is it gives it a more attractive entrance as we are looking to have people looking at it, for purchase. Gives us an actual entrance way. So, are there any questions, comments, concerns on this payment? All right. The motion by Councilperson Stahl, second by Councilperson Murphy, to authorize payment number 1 to Iron Eagle Excavating for the McGinnis Innovation Park project in the amount of $125,838.47. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
My only question, Heather, is did you get a hard hat on and go ride in any of that
No,
equipment
I
yet?
haven't. They won't let me. Just want to use the digger.
Are we going to soon discuss the next phase?
I thought we had already said after this phase we were looking to sell.
Well, I think there's some loopholes we have to kind of close. Like we talked about street entrances, possible utilities to the park.
Oh, I don't think I thought the intent was to not talk about that unless we had a developer specifically interested that wanted us to put those in.
Well, for example, if we said 11th Street entrance, we don't necessarily have to have a road in there for 11th Street, but we identify it for our maps. Same as Franklin Street. Even though Franklin may not ever be built, or extended, I should say.
Right.
We should identify if we're going to use that as a possible entrance or an exit for the park.
Yeah, we never decided if we were going to amend the zoning map or not, to the official map.
Well, we
to
talked
include
about that, right?
We did talk about that, yes, but it was scrapped when everyone said, we don't want to do anything that would jeopardize the
Well, I don't,
ability to develop.
I also don't want a developer coming in and saying, I'm gonna put a road right here where it doesn't line up with any of our other roads.
Right.
So I thought that was one of the things we wanted to wrap up before, maybe not complete, but as far as zoning council or whatever goes, street map goes.
I think
Was
you
solid.
have the opportunity to agree or disagree when you approve the plan documents. So if you don't do this, when someone presents plan documents to you and shows you curb cuts and where their egress is, places that they plan, whether you agree with it or not, that's the time that's taken care of.
Yeah, with an official map, you can designate the proposed route of a road, let's say. But just because something is on an official map doesn't make it law that it has to occur. It opens up the negotiation for development to have that put in. In most cases, when you're defining something on a municipal map or an official map, it's an activity that the municipality intends to undertake. For instance, a road widening, a future park, a new interchange, you name it. It's something that we're trying to build, and we're reserving or basically staking a claim to space to say we want this to go here. So whenever that property goes under development, we have some teeth under the municipal planning code to be able to hold that plan up until they negotiate with us to basically get what we want.
Okay.
I think in this situation, since we are the landowner, but we're not necessarily looking to make any of the improvements, what the mayor said is accurate. We would handle this through the planning phase. And we do have some provisions in our ordinance relating to streets and intersection distances that are going to limit where roads could possibly come in there.
Okay, thank you. That's my misunderstanding.
No, it's okay.
All right. Any other questions on this? Did that one. Okay. Next. We have the final action item is authorizing staff to provide a letter of support to Lancaster City for their application for a Penvest loan for the water main project. Did anyone want to make this motion?
I'll make the motion.
And do I have a second? I'll second it. All right, so, again, this is to not saying we agree with the project or not, it is supporting the application for the Penvest loan.
This,
Could I just say, maybe since I made the motion, I'll say first. When we initially denied it, I think for one, we got a seat at the table again. And Lancaster City's listening. And so one of the pieces of our conversation, even this afternoon with Derek, was just, I feel that we have a place now to discuss and get in writing the things that we need to be done and need to be considered. And I'd like Derek to really get those things nailed down. So I don't know if you want to speak to the things that you've experienced through this whole thing and why we should or should not write a letter of accept,
Yeah,
of
so to
agreement.
me, and I'm gonna throw back to you, Pete, because your words were very eloquent. That you said this afternoon is basically this letter of support is not necessarily in favor of the project and where it's located and anything related to the scope. This is basically supporting the city of Lancaster in getting financing at a good rate for this project. I think as municipalities in Lancaster and just people in general, we have no desire to stick it to the city of Lancaster. We want to make sure that their taxpayers and their ratepayers get the best deal on this project that they can. So I don't see any negative in supporting this. But this request this evening, a letter of support for financing. Now moving forward into the actual construction of the water main, yes, there are some conversations we need to have about street restoration, impact to the borough, both short-term and long-term. We need to understand the road closures, the durations, the detour plans. To be honest, this is going to be a pretty large pipeline project right through the heart of a big section of the borough. So it would be cavalier to just say, yeah, it's fine. We do need to dig into this and understand their means and methods and total scope of the project. So how I believe this is best done is, as Pete said, we can reach out and have more dialogue with them on the front end, but it'll be vital when they submit street cut permits. We spend a lot of time reviewing those street cut permits, identifying the restoration requirements, the limits of restoration, terms and conditions of openings, closings, detours, when the restoration happens. And again, they're willing to work with us and they make this as painless as possible for the borough of Columbia. We have nice streets.
So one of the concerns that I'm hearing is it's a major parade route for us in Columbia. So I don't know if the chief and emergency management and everybody else has to get together and look at that scenario. And along with the parades, next year in June is the Lancaster County Firemen's Association here in Columbia, and they will have a big parade then as well. And I'm sure they're going to want to go by the firehouse and be part of that. So will we be able to negotiate timeframes at all? I mean, when she was here the other week, she said that they were working in sections, and the time frame for the firehouse as far as the tear up and tear down should be very limited. But this isn't a car driving over a stone patch. This is people walking. So I was just wondering if, and it is in June, I believe, the end of June, mid-June, for the firemen's parade. And I don't know the time frame when they plan to start either. So we may get lucky, but that's a big concern for citizens in Columbia.
Okay, well, that's helpful. Ordinance-wise, yeah, we have time limits on, when a permit is submitted, how long we have to review and issue comments or deficiencies or approve it, so we have that timeline. As far as once the permit is issued, there are some provisions in the ordinance related to when restoration has to happen. I don't know offhand if there are limitations as far as when the activities must commence. That is all negotiable. We gotta make, there are rules, so we can amend those as needed. What would be helpful for me is, as we open up more talks, is that kind of feedback is valuable here. So anything else, I'm very, very well aware of the potential conflicts at the fire department just on a day-to-day basis. We don't want any interruptions to the fire department during this. So I'm aware of that. The parade is big. Any other events that you're aware of, or businesses in the area that get truck deliveries, that if the truck can't get through there? I remember that when we were designing Mill Street. And we had to design Mill Street to be able to get a tractor trailer through.
Well, it's
We hit
funny
some
you
of those
say that
businesses
because
there.
right at the bottom of Manor Mill is a truck, is it repairs?
They park them there, yeah.
But it's tractor trailers, it's 18-wheelers, dump trucks,
Park there all the time.
they work out of there. So
Yeah.
that's a,
So this is kind of what goes back into the street permitting process is if we have an access issue, it's up to the applicant to solve that issue to our satisfaction. And it won't be satisfactory if we need to get a vehicle of a certain size through a street to route them onto a residential street that they can't navigate. So those are all things that need to be evaluated.
so we
as
do
far
have
as
some
street
control in this process. They're not just gonna come in here and do what they please.
Correct. What I will, and again, I know we've had a lot of staff turnover here, but if I say anything tonight, it's when these street permits come in, we're going to have to look at these a lot closer than just your average gas service. So you have my commitment that whenever that happens, I'll work with your staff to review these.
Thank you.
And I have one request, when you're reviewing them, and I don't know if we're allowed to put this on as a condition or not. But if so, I would strongly recommend that we put a condition on there that at night, after the work is not being done, that those construction vehicles are not to be parked on Manor Street.
They can't
Because
park
that's, I would hate to be a resident on that street that already has tight parking and have to lose 6 spaces a night because they have a bunch of dump trucks there.
One concern I have is what the biggest, not biggest, another concern that hasn't really been touched on. I know we have ordinances to cover our protections for street openings and things like that, but, all street openings are, let's face it, they're touchy. You know as well as, Jake knows as well as anybody. But this is a 42-inch main that we're talking about, so it's really gonna cause some havoc. Not just laying it, but the fact that we've already got all kinds of service, UGI, gas, water, it's all in the street already. And my concern is not just the borough gets made whole, but how many times have we had a street opening project? I know when they did Walnut Street, in front of my house, things weren't where the map said they were going to be. Oh, geez, that gas line was supposed to be here, not there. So, those kind of accidents do occur, that it doesn't fall on the homeowner to make it right,
Right. No, in any of those situations, and even going back to some of the borough projects, it's been basically the contractor working directly with the utility to make those things right. There have been, just discussed this afternoon as well, there have been some newer regulations, or should I say a newer push to enforce some regulations that deal with underground utility location. So it's called SUE, subsurface utility investigation. So based on the size of a project, you will be required to do a certain amount of basically exploration to find where your crossings would be. So I suspect, this is something that we can also talk to the city about, I suspect that they will be working much closer with utilities to identify where all those crossings are. And if they aren't going to be coming out in, a lot of cases will come out, we call it potholing, you dig a little hole, take your vac truck and you actually locate where that service is or where that main is. You can pothole all your crossings. The other thing that's becoming more popular is using ground penetrating radar to locate utilities and get a depth on them. That's also an acceptable evaluation method. So they're going to have to figure out where all those crossings are. They'll be required to expose them at some point, even when they're setting their pipe. And I mean, again, accidents happen sometimes. We can't avoid them, but any kind of relocation that needs to happen, that'll be on the city of Lancaster to negotiate with UGI, with LASA, with Columbia Water to make those moves happen.
Madam President.
Yes.
So, originally, I wasn't here the night that council address this first, and I asked council to take another look at this. So that's where we're at right now. I think everybody did a good job identifying that what you're looking at is a letter of support for a loan so that Lancaster City can get a cheaper rate. Then you got the other part of it is the construction part of it. And I have some, and one of the reasons I said take another look at it was so that they came here and told you a little more about what was going to happen. I understand now that they can't go up Strickler Run because they can't go up where there's an existing water line. So it has to go up Manor Street. But if it's going to go up Manor Street, I'm 100% in agreement with everybody that it has to be under terms and conditions that are approved by Columbia Borough. I envision as this going on, and I don't think there's any problem with the city getting with the borough, and we see the plan laid out. We've done this before with streets in town and some other things where you see the plan laid out. This is what we're going to do here, 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 and here, and that we agree with it. 42-inch water main. It's going to take 8 foot by maybe 10 foot deep trench. It's going to be a big trench. Okay. We sit on karst geology. So I have a concern about a water leak and eroding into that limestone bedrock, and we wind up with a situation we had down on 4th Street. So we have to be very diligent and work with Lancaster City if it's going to happen, is what we want to see happen and what protections we have. Just like if we're going to do 8 feet, I'd like to see that whole street overlaid, not just one lane, 12 foot. I want to see the whole street overlaid, and I want to see some guarantees on that pipe not springing leaks or breaking it or whatever have you. And I know things happen. It's fun. Things like that happen, but there has to be some due diligence that we're not going to wind up with a major water leak to cause problems to the properties out in that corridor, especially going up prior to 9th Street. A lot of homes there, a lot of problems there. So I don't see any problem that Lancaster City won't be willing to work with us, as Derek has outlined and Pete talked about, that we get certain protections, certain agreements, and that in the end result, we see a plan, block by block plan. And as you said, Eric, a timetable. It's not hard to put these timetables in. Now, rain happens and snow happens and things like that. Yeah, things move a little bit, but at least we have an idea what to expect. And then we can plan what we need to do with the parade, the firemen's convention, those kind of things, the firehouse getting out when they need to get out. I know the guys were really concerned about that. So we need to plan and get that insurances. So it would be in our best interest to get with Lancaster City as soon as possible and say, let's work together, putting this plan together so we know exactly what you want to do and you know exactly what we want you to do. And I think then it will work. But, I'm a little apprehensive about it. But and then I also took to heart one of the comments made last week. They're going to run water through Columbia. Can we meter it? Can we get some benefit, some monetary benefit out of it? I don't know. I don't know what's legal and what's proper, but you cannot. We cannot. I figured
because they're a PUC regulated entity, you can't charge them.
But at least we can set the terms and conditions that our streets are going to be open and how they're going to be maintained.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we're all after. I heard from a lot of residents that said you shouldn't grant this, you shouldn't grant it, but it was the construction part, and we're talking about a loan. We can work that construction part out, I do believe, but we got to get with them as soon as possible, and our powers to be sit down, and our experts sit down and work this thing out, and I think we'll be okay. That's my thoughts.
Just-
I agree. I mean, I understand people feel that by saying no and not supporting the funding, that we're making it harder for them to somehow do this project and we're putting up these stumbling blocks. But I put myself and I put this borough in the position of the city. Their financial picture is just as bleak as ours, if not worse. And you know, one thing I've prided myself on as long as I've sat here is the networking that I've done and working with other municipalities and realizing that, you know, for so long Columbia tried to do everything in a silo and we tried to shut ourselves off. And I've tried very hard to get us out there. And if we went somewhere and we needed a letter of support for something, I would not want them to say, no, we want you to pay, you know, 5% more in your interest rate for this project because we don't like what you're doing. And that would not be, that's not a good, you know, that's not a good look.
Well, I think the truth of the matter is, we can't stop the project.
Exactly.
We can't stop it, but what we can do is make the project as good as we think it needs to be.
Right. And you're exactly right. We're not going to stop the project. And I don't want to be the cause of them having to pay $1 million or $2 million more in interest payments just because. I mean, and then if we do that, then it makes them even less likely to want to work with us to get those assurances. You got to give a little to get a little sometimes.
Well, what kind of project?
I like that point you just made.
Exactly.
I like that point you just made. That you got to give a little to get a little. I got to tell you, I mean, I'm hung up on the how do we generate revenue for the borough. We need the money too. I sent some examples of precedents. May or may not fly. I don't know. According to you, the way you look, no.
The really interesting thing is that the seminal case in that whole area of law in Pennsylvania is a PPL versus City of Lancaster.
Was it?
It happened it was decided in the Supreme Court in 2019.
Yeah.
And they were on the losing side of not being able to charge PPL for the occupancy for the use of
Got
their
it.
right of way. So
Got it. So, you know, I think we owe it to
I saw
the
that too.
taxpayers to come up with revenue generating solutions. I think it'd be remiss if we didn't have the discussion, didn't research it, talk about it, look into it. But I like what you said, you're not going to stop the project. Perhaps in this case, it's a give a little in order to get what we want on the back end of it. So, yeah, okay. I'm for it.
I think it was, I mean, you guys both said it. It can't be stopped. I think that, like, it's fair though for us to acknowledge there's no net benefit to Columbia Borough for this to go through. It's not benefiting us at all. But I think the thing that I see in working with Lancaster on it is just that same thing. If we don't do this, we're shooting ourselves in the foot,
Right.
not them in the end.
Well, we have kicked around a design for Manor Street, curb speeding, to do some striping and things like that, even as far as putting in a divider, some kind of a divider, bump out there, and things like that, you know. That's a good time to work that stuff in. So, and I'm a fan of, if someone's going to do something, let's get something that we need along with it. So I'm sure we can negotiate. If they're going to reconstruct, I'll say redo that street, we can get some of those things in it.
Any further questions? Yes, Sharon.
I don't think this is about money for the residents on Manor Street. They don't care whether Lancaster City has to pay more or not. They're going, and there's only one person voting tonight that it's going to directly affect. So and Council President, you just said give a little to get a little, but we're getting nothing. And I think our former borough manager made that quite clear, and that's why he said he would not send a letter of support for this project. And Derek said we don't want to stick it to Lancaster, but are you okay sticking it to Columbia residents? Because they're going to suffer for this.
Well, we want to be clear here. We've said a couple of times that we can't stop this project.
Right, I heard that, but she did say the PUC would ultimately decide. Can't we force them even back to the table to try to reroute this thing? I mean, if they couldn't get the funding, would they be forced to go back to the table? Would they just pay more and do the project? I mean.
Yeah, the project, as I understand it, is a necessity for Lancaster City, so the project has to happen no matter what. As far as rerouting it, I think the options are pretty limited as far as where else they would go with it.
I thought this was just the easiest route for them and the cheapest. That's what my understanding was. So.
Well, that was, I was not I was not aware that they weren't able to run the pipe parallel to their old. That was new information to me, and that does change my entire view on what they're doing.
Okay.
So originally I was given the information that they were attempting to avoid some of the contaminated area down by the old gas plant, which heavily influenced this route. The reality is it's because it can't be parallel to the other one due to the potential future failure of that pipe and the excavation that might have to happen there. So looking at it from an engineering standpoint, if that route's unavailable, what's your other route? This is it. I'm not sure where else they could go that wouldn't impact private property, the railroad, the stream more than this one. So I guess what my concern is if we would kick them off this route, I'm not sure where else they would go that they wouldn't be causing similar problems elsewhere. Like,
But it wouldn't necessarily be us, would it? Or would it?
Well, yeah, they've got to get to 15th Street.
15th Street.
But would it, anyway, that I guess doesn't matter because it's not, they haven't done that yet. But didn't seem like that area is really going to be affected in a big way. Is this going to simultaneously happen while they're doing, I mean, we have so much digging going on in town right now, so many projects in construction. What about Walnut Street? Will it be the same time as they're doing Walnut?
Being 100 to 200
Yeah,
block.
yeah.
Again, I don't know exactly when Lancaster City's planning to start. I'm sorry.
Well, they said, I thought she said February of 2026, so a few months away, really.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't.
No, that's okay. I think that's what she said.
Yeah, I'm hoping-
Continuing till March of 27, so I don't know how long they'll be in Columbia. I don't know, you know.
Sounds about right. So yeah, you're looking at almost a year. We're hoping to start Walnut Street in the spring. So yes, to answer your question, there is a high likelihood that this will be going on at Manor Street at the same time when the 200 block of Walnut's going on. What I can tell you is on the 1 to 200 block of Walnut, though, we will be maintaining, at least one, possibly 2 lanes of traffic for that whole thing until the street gets paved. It'll be similar to the 900 and 1,000 where we'll probably close during the day and then open back up. So, I mean, again, I know we've got a lot of work going on. On one hand, I understand that it's inconveniencing for the residents, and I always feel for the people on the street getting to work. At the end of the day, I am proud to look back and see all the work that is being done and the positive effects that it brings. So, as far as this effect on the borough, yeah, we could look at it in a complete negative light. I think if we are able to bring them to the table and negotiate a little bit, at the end of the day, we should get some roads paved at no cost to the borough, which would provide a benefit. While Mill Street was recently repaved, I always like when we start to block over again. When we start looking at a 20-year life cycle, 15, 20-year life cycle on paving, let's start to block over after that street gets repaved. And Manor Street, although it is in pretty good condition right now, it's been a long time since that's seen paper. So that's what I'm going to look at on the bright side of, look, we're going to have to deal with this. I'm sorry for everybody that lives along that route. I feel for a lot of activity out there at Guinness. It's been a lot going on that side of town, so I absolutely sympathize for everyone over there. At the end of the day, we didn't ask for this project. here on really how we feel about it, positive, negative. But as I've discussed with Solicitor Gable, we have limited ability to say, no, you can't come on our street because we have a public right of way or PUC regulated.
Yeah, I get that. And it seems though that council's almost willing to roll over and just take this. And they were elected to represent the people. They weren't elected to represent Lancaster City or their projects or people. I'm just saying, I think they need to consider the residents that this affects, and it's a lot of them. It's not just a small thing. So I just wanted to voice that.
I don't think any of us were willing to roll over and take this. If we were, we would have voted yes the first time this came around.
We wrote a letter denying it.
We wrote
Well,
a letter.
yes,
we were the
you
only
did, and that-
municipality that wrote the letter saying, no, we do not.
But you didn't support it, so now, a couple weeks later, you're going to. I'm just saying, it seems a bit like you're just kind of giving up and just going to be resigned to the fact that this is going to happen. And, personally, I don't care if they have to spend more money to do it, and I would demand curb to curb. I don't think they should come in here and patch it up. It's
That's
going to
what
compromise the streets.
We are going to demand curb to curb.
Okay. Because she didn't say that's what was going to happen.
She did not. You are correct. You are correct.
She did not, but she does not have a permit in her hand yet.
Okay.
Correct.
All right.
yes,
Thank
we
you.
will negotiate all of that. Yeah, again, it's up to council where it comes at this point. Again, my comments go back to just, all right, can we make them pay more money just out of spite?
Yes.
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 Sorry, I have to disagree with you there.
Okay. Thank you.
I'd just like to respond to that. We could, if we write the letter, it's kind of like a letter of sticking our middle finger to them, like pay more interest, we don't care. But then we've compromised our ability to negotiate. And so I will say it's not, from my perspective, it's not, oh, well, we just do it, like we're fine with it. I'm not, but I want a place at the table so that we can best negotiate for the people who are going to be most affected by this project. So I need the best position at the table that I can get as a borough council member for the council to be able to get the best deal out of it. Because we can't stop it. It's coming through.
Smart logic, Councilor Stahl.
Exactly.
And that's why I brought up about not just protecting for the borough, but for the borough's residents and the people that live along there in case something unexpected does happen, that they are not the ones putting the bill for it. I just know, because Jake, remember back when they did the 800 block of Walnut Street where I lived a couple of years back, UGI, when they redid their lines, did not account for the fact that they were taking the crown out of the road. And we're all like, oh boy, we're gonna get the road's gonna be paved next week. Well, guess what? It's not gonna get paved next week. Because UGI has to come back, this is like October, November, and UGI has to now come back and redo their lines again. We gotta take them deeper. So we gotta wait another 5-6 months till we got paved. So yeah, trust me, as somebody who's lived through the crap that you go through as a block or as a street, putting up with that, it's stressful as hell. I don't want to see them put through it. But I'd like to say, if we said no, then ended it, but it's not done.
Mr. Meshi.
Oh, right.
Yeah. You're never going to want to talk again, are you?
I guess the question I got, how long is this project going to take?
Here.
Yeah, they said
Are they-
13 months.
I mean, can you hold it to a year? Because, I mean, just going back, Manor Street is very important, not only to Manor Street, but to the rest of the town. Like I said, safety from the fire, people that live there. Parades, I mean, I know they're talking about parades, but, that's not the most important thing. I mean, they are good or everything like that, but the biggest, I'm against the project altogether. I mean, but we have no say in the matter. But you got it, like you say, curb to curb. And if they say a year, it better be done in a year, because that's where we can get extra money if it's longer. I think, we got to hold them to something. I mean, because, a year is a long time to shut down pretty much half the town. So that's just something I wanted to say.
This is honestly, as we spoke before, the review of the street cut permits, and one of the questions that Lancaster City did ask us is, they asked us basically how much cut would we be willing to permit under one street cut. So what we've actually looked at doing is we're planning to issue a different street cut permit for every block.
Okay.
It's not gonna be one permit for the whole project. We wanna break this up into sections so that we can hold them under different timelines in different sections.
So you're saying they can slowly, like okay, this block will be open now.
Well, you can't, we don't want you to start at the beginning and then do the whole project and then come back a year later and finish your trench. I want you to start here, get to a certain
Start and finish
section,
as you go.
Let's
Yeah.
restore it, move along.
Okay,
Correct.
all right.
And
Yep.
Or at least get it temporarily paved to a point that it's feeling like it's permanently paved until you come back and mill and overlay the whole thing.
All right, thank you.
Columbia may not be impacted for a year. The project is going to take a year from the river to Oyster Point. They're going to start at either end.
No, they're not.
No.
They're
That's what she said.
Multiple crews.
they're gonna have two. They're gonna start at the river, and they're also gonna start, I think, at 15th Street, and they're gonna walk.
Oh, I thought they were going to start at Oyster Point and come in.
That's done already. Oyster Point to
Yeah, she said that was done.
pump station's done already.
Oh, is it?
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not, because that's why they asked East Hempfield and West Hempfield for their letter as well.
The other aspect of it is West Hempfield, that portion of the projects is going to affect Columbia majorly as well. All the traffic out of 462, if I'm not mistaken, they're going up the whole way up through there. That's going to be a lot of waiting at a stop sign to get through one-way traffic. I mean, maybe they can shut down and use the middle lane, but
Derek, apparently this wasn't planned. Columbia has no plans to go and do anything in there. So will they have to core drill, go down the bedrock? What will they have to do there once they decide that, well, we're going to put this in?
What do you mean there are no plans? As far as engineered plans?
As far as the borough being involved with this project?
So the Lancaster City retained Aero Engineering to design this water main replacement. I don't have a physical copy of the plans, but I've seen the plans in a virtual meeting that we had. So where we will be involved, and no, they had some preliminary discussions with us. This goes back probably 3 years, basically letting us know this is what we're doing. And that was at the time when Solicitor Gable and I kind of researched what rights do we have as a borough, and we found that, projects like this done by PUC regulated entities, we don't have much of a say as far as what happens in the public right of way. So we were involved in initial conversations, but it was more of a courtesy to let us know here's the route. Now, as far as today goes, Aero Engineering, who prepared those plans for Lancaster City, is the one that had the responsibility for identifying all of the utilities that are out there, designing the pipe that it's going to work. And, at this point, when it moves from design to construction, the contractor, whoever's hired to put this in, is going to have to work with the local utilities to make sure that any relocations that have to happen are done. If there are any strikes, it's going to be on them. This is not a situation where, we're out here with our crews. One thing that Jake and I discussed today is this would be a project that would be warranted to have potentially CS Davidson or another testing agency or inspection agency oversee this, make sure we get compaction testing on the trenches. That's something that we can do as part of this. In the past, the borough has basically just used flowable fill. That's a lot of flowable fill for this. So I think the right way to go about this is to ensure that the backfill is happening in proper lifts. You're getting a nuclear gauge out there to make sure you're getting the proper compaction testing so that the road isn't going to settle. And those are all provisions we can put into the street code.
Okay, so let's say when this starts, all of a sudden the gas company or water company with their other line or whatever says, whoa, wait a minute here, we're going to have to replace this pipe. This thing might be open for years out there. It could be open for years if they got to replace pipes.
So it's going to be, it really is Lancaster City's obligation to identify all of that before they start cutting. Now, if you have a situation where, you have a situation where UGI is looking out there saying, wow, our main's really old on Manor Street, we should replace that as part of this.
Okay.
Those conversations need to happen between Lancaster City, UGI, Columbia Water. That's what the PA one call system is for. So they would have already at least done a design ticket to get all that information out there to notify all of the utilities of this project. So this project should not be a surprise to any of the utilities that occupy that street, because they would have
Should
already
not
had to give up their as-built information. And when you enter one of those one-call tickets, you tell them what it's for.
Okay, so anything with your involvement, your bills will be going to Lancaster City.
Correct.
You hear that, Sharon? Sharon keeps track of your bills, so we want to make sure that's where they go. They don't come to Columbia Borough.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
That would all be part of the, if that's the route we decide to go, that would all be negotiated through the permit fee. Traditionally, it's either billed by the hour, or then they post an escrow, similar to how we do land development plan.
All right, any other questions? Last call for comments. Motion by Councilperson Stahl, second by Councilperson Zink, to authorize staff to provide a letter of support to Lancaster City for their application for a Penvest loan for their water main project. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, on to new business. Next we have Resolution 2025-18, supporting the Route 30 and Prospect Road interchange as an investment area for the 2025 Lancaster County Land Use and Transportation Map. Basically, Lancaster County Planning Department has been recalibrating the urban growth and village growth boundaries for the comprehensive plan, and they have also identified several areas throughout the county as what they're calling investment areas. So they're identifying them, saying, sometime in the future, if we have funding, these areas would benefit from some of our planning and development, funding to recommend projects to the MPO. What they're doing is they have asked every municipality that has a change in either the urban growth boundary or is affected by one of these investment areas, basically just acknowledge that they have been told about this plan, and they're acknowledging that, so that when their updated plan goes into the public comment period, they can prove that every municipality affected by these changes has been notified and has acknowledged that they are affected by what the planning department is doing. It doesn't mean there's an imminent project. It just means we're saying, yes, we understand you've identified this area as a potential for an investment somewhere down the line. I did ask if it's an issue that this area is not technically in Columbia Borough, and they said, no, that is perfectly fine, because we would be significantly affected by a project at that intersection anyway.
And then what I don't quite understand is when you say, when I see the word investment area, this is about the interchange itself.
Yes.
This has nothing to do with the land around it.
No. And basically the investment would be if there is an opportunity to somehow improve the interchange, or it may even be as simple as, do we need to retime the lights so that the lights are all, it could be something as simple as that.
So it's all transportation related,
Yes.
not, I'll say, building related.
Correct.
When I
It's
first
all-
looked at this, I thought, oh, no. We're gonna have a whole bunch of businesses around that interchange, and we're gonna wind up like Centerville and Roarstown Road. We'll never get on Route 30.
No,
But it's bad right now.
Oh yeah, it's all the transportation stuff.
Okay.
So, does anyone have any questions on this?
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yep, it's all transportation stuff. Does anyone have a problem voting on this one tonight? No. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution 2025-18, supporting the Route 30 and Prospect Road interchange as an investment area for the 2025 Lancaster County Land Use and Transportation Map?
So moved.
A motion by Councilperson Stahl, second by Councilperson Murphy, to adopt resolution 2025-18, supporting the Route 30 and Prospect Road interchange as an investment area for the 2025 Lancaster County Land Use and Transportation Map. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. Next, we're asked to establish public security for the Wrights Ferry Mansion Land Development Plan in the amount of $242,113.30. Derek, is there anything you wanted to add on this? It's pretty standard.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's pretty boilerplate.
Any questions, comments, concerns? Anyone have a problem voting on this? No. Do I have a motion to establish public security for the Wrights Ferry Mansion Land Development Plan in the amount of $242,113.30?
So moved.
Motion by Councilperson Stahl, second by Councilperson Kaufman, to establish public security for the Wrights Ferry Mansion Land Development Plan, the amount of $242,113.30. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Next, we are asked to consider a request for Susquehanna National Heritage to host canoe-mobile field trips in October. This is a yearly thing. This is actually kind of a two-parter, C and D. In order to submit their application for the permit to the Fish and Boat Commission, they also need us to give a letter of support to them to host the field trip. So we're asked to, number one, approve the facilities use request, and two, authorize the letter of support. Does anyone have any questions?
Just a comment. This is, if you've never seen this,
This is awesome.
yeah, you need to go down there if you're around. Go down and see this. School children from all over Lancaster and York counties, they basically have a schedule set up for that school to come in. They take them through, they're out on the lawn, they teach them all the safety aspects, how to use a life vest, the paddles and everything else, and then they get in these gigantic canoes and paddle around the river. Many of these kids, it's their first time on the water, let alone being in a canoe. And it's really exciting for the kids. And I go down, and I usually talk to the kids, and I ask them, how many of you kids are the first time here at Columbia River Park? How many of you is the first time ever out on the river in a boat? You know, it's amazing how many never were. And when they come back, they are just so happed up about it. It's wonderful. So if you approve it, great. If you can go down and see it, spend a couple minutes, just go down and see it.
Are there any questions? They don't have a problem voting. No? All right. So then the first motion, could I have a motion to approve the request for Susquehanna National Heritage to host the canoe-mobile field trips?
So moved.
Second.
The motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Geezy, to approve the request for Susquehanna National Heritage Area to host canoe-mobile field trips from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. beginning October 6th and ending October 11th using the Columbia River Park, including but not limited to all boat and kayak launches. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Next, could I have a motion to authorize the letter of support for the Susquehanna National Heritage Area to host the field trips?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Geezy, to authorize a letter of support for Susquehanna National Heritage Area to host canoe-mobile field trips using the boat launch at Columbia River Park. This letter is needed for the Susquehanna National Heritage Area application to the PA Fish and Boat Commission. recognition. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And Jack, you already have that letter written, so just gotta sign it.
Maybe we can get the chief in one of those canoes with the kids.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
Life fast.
All right. And next we've been asked to consider waiving the Market House rental fee for a career fair on September 25th.
You want me to speak?
Yep, go ahead.
So in the past, it's been the market manager's position of just, for local community events, sometimes just waive the fee and just move on with it. I've started asking that all events come with a fee of the actual price, and that they come to council and ask to waive it. Like this event here, it's for the people of Columbia. I have no issue with waiving the fee, but what I would like to see is for council to understand that this fee here is $625. If you do 10, 15 events a year like this, for example, last summer, or this past summer, they did a tax event with it 3 days a week for a month, totally free. And then we say they're losing $20,000. Well, we're not really losing $20,000. We're giving $20,000 back to the community through events. So I want that to be public and seen. So we're going to start any contract that would normally get zero fee. We're going to start putting an actual fee on it and bring it through council.
Track the ones we give to, so you know.
Sort of like the facilities use request when we requested that we want to know what that cost to the borough would be, how much,
Right.
we are giving back to the community.
Right.
Because some of those can be very pricey, like the parades, and the car show is very pricey.
I'd like to
Who's the
say
sponsoring
something.
organization?
Well, I would like to say something about that. This is CEDC and 3E have been hosting these. This is our 5th one. And the first one was real slow, with just a few people, a few employees. The last one that we had, Columbia, Celebrate Columbia,
Columbia Connection.
jumped on, the Columbia Connection jumped on the 4th one, and we had the place was full of employers, and the place was buzzing, like people were waiting at the door at 3 o'clock, waiting to get in at 4. We had foot traffic from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. We had people who were hired on the spot at the 5th one, at the 4th one. And this is our 5th one, and we expected each time we had one, it just built and built and built. And we expect this one to be equally, if not more successful than the last one.
Wonderful.
Well, I have a question. When I was putting the packet together, I realized that I had 2 different executive briefs for this, and the one said the request to waive the fee of $625. And then I had another one that said request to waive the $50 fee.
That's because originally Pam asked me if I knew what the fee was. And I said, I don't really know. And then I looked for the fees schedule and saw the special event at $50. So I think maybe it's $50. But then when Bonnie got home from her trip, she contacted Pam and corrected the amount. So that's why.
Okay, so that's where, the $50 is for like the facilities use request one.
Yeah.
There is no like application fee for the Market House thing. So,
Right.
Okay, no problem. I was so
That's why
confused.
that is.
And I'm like, Pam, I don't understand. Pam's like, I don't know, ask Barb.
Well, we're trying to get it in order here.
Yeah.
Good job,
So, all right.
And quite honestly, I was surprised at the $625.
Well, it's a per hour event.
I know, and then when I think of, how many events just said, oh, you can just do it.
Exactly, that's my point.
How much money that we had lost.
Right, that's my point. We're not really losing, we're giving back to the community.
Right.
But you need to know what that money.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, are there any questions or concerns on this? I don't have a problem voting on this one tonight. All right. Could I have a motion to approve waiving the Market House rental fee for a career fair on September 25th.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Brigard, to waive the Market House rental fee for a career fair on September 25th. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. And then 12F, this is the item I added. We have been asked to give a waiver to a zoning hearing board determination. There has been a request made to have a wedding at Shawnee Run on a Tuesday evening. I sent you guys all the request letter and also a copy of the zoning hearing board determination, and that per the zoning hearing board, they were granted their variance, and one of the conditions was that the only days they are permitted to hold events is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And if they would like to host an event a different night, it has to be approved by Borough Council. In this case, the request is for an event on a Tuesday night in November. I believe it's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and they plan to be done by 9 p.m. The size of the events at Shawnee Run is limited to, I think it's 95 people, so it's not going to be a big thing. And I don't know, have we ever had a complaint about any event that they have hosted at Shawnee Run?
Is this at Doug?
Yeah, this is at Doug's. I don't.
Up on Ridge.
Up on Ridge, yeah.
I'm trying to figure where you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone past there numerous times when they've had events going on, and I've never seen any issues. And I can't imagine a Tuesday afternoon to 9 p.m. I mean, Dairy Queen's open later than that. You know, I can't imagine it being an issue. But does anyone have any questions, concerns?
Are they going to do the reception and everything?
Yes.
On the grounds?
Yes. Yep.
Heather, I think initially misinformation was given. Nowhere in the zoning hearing document does it say that specifically that Borough Council can waive that. After I investigated a little bit further today, that is not what came of the zoning hearing board. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's
and,
not,
well, that's what the owners of the property were under the impression as well.
but it's not documented anywhere. It is not.
It can't be. It can't be. Zoning is autonomous. In other words, a zoning hearing board is a.
Correct, but they're.
They can
right.
put conditions in the zoning decision that could have said that, yeah. That could have allowed Borough Council to.
Yes, but it's not in there.
So
Kelly, you have it. I emailed it to everyone.
I don't have it.
I don't have it.
Did I email it to you guys?
No, I
Yeah, I don't have it
Didn't see
either.
it.
Zoning can put the
It's
conditions,
on the,
but
it's on
council
the
can't do
letter.
it.
Huh?
But if there was a condition in the zoning hearing decision that said you could only have events on these dates unless
You
you
forget to
get
hit send?
approval from Borough Council. That would be a
I do that all the time.
I don't know if they did or not, but they could.
It's not in there.
No, it's not it.
And I'm bringing it up right now.
So I don't understand something. We have a zone that zoning that controls when and when events can't happen.
If someone.
Oh, geez, it is. It's in my drafts.
If
See, I was gonna say,
someone
Kelly
asks
said to me, "Can you get
for
that?" I said,
zoning
"No,
relief,
she's talking
the
about."
zoning hearing board can put
I told you, I'm sending it now.
So that was one of the conditions they put on initially?
Kelly, did you get it now?
Yes.
I believe it says Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
It does.
Specifies.
9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Friday and Saturdays, 9 p.m. on Sundays. It does not,
So they're coming back now saying they'd like to do a Tuesday one.
right here.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, well, that's just the facts.
It was a variance granted. And they can set the conditions. There's nothing here.
Right.
There are more than 95 persons. So parking has 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays, all guests off the property by 10:30, Sundays from 9 to 9.
Wouldn't they have to seek this from the zoning hearing board, not from Borough Council?
Some people saying maybe they said, maybe they let some windows for us.
Why? But maybe that was a miss.
3, 4 different times. Mr.
Yeah, I'm just going by what was in the letter and,
Maybe that was just a misunderstanding.
yeah.
They put Borough Council when they actually meant the zoning hearing board.
Trying to put the onus on you.
Can the zoning officer approve something like that? Or does it have to go to the board?
It would have to go back to the zoning hearing board. They wanted to change a condition of the zoning approval variance or whatever they got here. It would, then, yeah, so, yeah, I mean, if it was a condition that Borough Council could approve something on a day other than Friday, Saturday, Sunday, absolutely, you guys could make a decision on that. But if it's not in that zoning decision, then you don't have the ability to change
Oh,
that
yeah.
zoning decision.
I'm still confused on this. Council sets the zoning standards. Zoning board enforces them.
Correct.
But they
So-
can set conditions.
Yeah, if you're gonna allow something that isn't allowed by the zoning ordinance, which is what a variance is.
So this is where it all starts, back when he first opened up.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, if you're gonna allow something that isn't normally allowed by the zoning ordinance, the zoning hearing board has the ability to say, we're gonna limit this so that it doesn't become the problem that the zoning ordinance was trying to.
Okay. Makes sense.
I'm sorry, I should have read this.
It's okay, Heather.
So, I mean, we would usually all licensed parties to attend the next zoning.
They would have to ask for release, yeah, or a change in those conditions. Yeah.
Well, they can't just go to the zoning hearing board, they have to be on the agenda and everything, so they would have to contact, Elise and work through that.
Yeah.
Or reach out to the party.
Would they have to do this correctly? Would they have to go for a variance again? Because it seems to me like that's the correct way to go about it.
I think in most situations, and I would have to talk to Giselle, I don't do as much zoning hearing board work as some other people. I believe that they could apply to the zoning hearing board to have one of these conditions changed. It wouldn't have to be a full variance. The use is allowed, just only on certain days. I think they could ask the zoning hearing board just to change that condition. But that would be up to Giselle as far as how she wanted to handle that. But either way, it's not something that happens quickly in any way, shape, or form.
I don't like the fact that
It's a learning experience.
you're changing the conditions just a little bit. And is that going to be retained in the future? Or is that going to open the door for more of that kind of thing? So it basically destroys your variances and things like that.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's like the whole process.
That's a little scary.
Yeah.
I would rather see a complete new variance.
And like I said, that would be, Attorney Cleary would be the one that would determine what she wanted to see there, yeah.
to this decision.
Yeah, you don't have the power to make this,
Yeah,
at
we-
least from what I'm seeing here, you don't have the
Yeah.
power to make
Got
this decision.
I'm sorry, guys, I didn't read it, it was in the packet and I figured it was vetted and
Apology accepted.
should be on there, so.
Sounds like the mayor said, zoning hearing board.
Yeah,
They're-
I mean, I thought it sounded weird, I'd never heard anything like that, but
Yeah.
I had, you know,
It does. I mean, we did one with, like, with 315 Locust, right? I had to approve the lease, one of the conditions was the lease for those parking spaces, and I had to approve that. So it's, there are things like that that can happen.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so there's that. We can't approve this tonight, so that's that. Staff reports, comments, and announcements. Solicitor Gable.
Okay. Give you a little bit of an update on where we stand with the BIOS loan. Over the last 2 days, I've had conversations with both the attorney for DCED, who is reviewing our compliance with the Local Government Unit Debt Act, as well as the Commonwealth Financing Authority attorney, who is the one who is in charge of the BIOS. They have had a number of internal meetings at DCD. I think we have caused quite a stir. A municipality getting this BIOS funding is very rare. I think they said it's only happened twice before us. And the big issue is that the terms of the BIOS loan do not comply with the terms of the Local Government Unit Debt Act, which is a real problem, right? Your BIOS funding in everything that we have gotten from the Commonwealth Financing Authority says that you have to start repaying this loan either when you sell the property or 5 years after closing. The Local Government Unit Debt Act requires payments to start being made 2 years after closing. So if you didn't sell the property, you could technically not have to make any payments on this until 5 years after you closed on the loan. And that has caused an internal problem there. So we are likely going to need at the next meeting to, I think, probably pass 2 ordinances. One will be an ordinance that specifically grants the Commonwealth Financing Authority a mortgage for the McGinnis property until their loan is repaid. That is, I think, that should not be a problem. That'll be a 1-page ordinance. It doesn't need to be anything crazy. The other one is we are going to, I was able to, over the last couple of days, get DCD and the Commonwealth Financing Authority to agree that we could alter the terms of the loan to say that you have to start making payments either the earlier of when you sell property or 2 years afterwards. So that way we can get it in compliance with the Local Government Unit Debt Act. I know this is a lot coming at you right now, but it's kind of been a step-by-step process, and it's been a lot more complicated than I expected, and a lot of internal division there that they didn't think they were going to have. I know that when the loan was first awarded, the loan and grant was first awarded, that the Commonwealth Financing Authority went to the people that run the Laguna program and said, hey, is there any issues with this? And they said no. So we are operating under that assumption. So we will likely have 2 ordinances on your agenda for next time. And luckily, in talking to the attorney for the Commonwealth Financing Authority, she grew up about a mile from here. She knows the site very well and has kind of put this at the top of her important list. She said we should be able to close within a few days after getting those ordinances done. There's a couple other documents we've got to get done, but we will do that over the next week or so. And then I think we can get this closed and get that chapter of things taken care of.
Explain to me the mortgage thing again.
That is, it's for DCED, and I guess in talking to their folks, they wanted to have some type of security for this loan and to make sure that there was a mortgage there. That's not something that was originally that they said was necessary, but they, in looking at everything and again in talking to the people that are administering the Laguda program, the Local Government Unit Debt Act, they said that's what they need to feel comfortable.
So this is for that.
Correct, yes.
And changing the terms of the BIOS agreement is for that act as well.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yep. It's astonishing to me because the Commonwealth Financing Authority is kind of a subsidiary agency of DCED, who also is the one who's administering the Laguda, Local Government Unit Debt Act. So I don't know if the left hand just wasn't talking to the right or how this got through, but I actually said to the attorney, who has been very helpful, I said, are you gonna change the terms of this loan program in the future so that if a municipality gets it, that they don't run into this same problem again? And she said, absolutely, we're gonna actually make those changes. Doesn't help us at all, but I don't want this, because it's been months going through this with them trying to figure out between themselves how they want to handle this. So that is hopefully coming to a close here very, very quickly. But I feel like we've made a lot of progress, at least in the last few days here, but there is still some more work to do, and we will get this done. So as far as the wastewater treatment plant is concerned, I thought in talking to the attorney for JG that he thought he had made some progress. I saw an email from him just the other day asking again where things were. So Mayor, I'm gonna forward you those emails. Hopefully if you could reach out to Representative Smucker's office and see if we can get this moving again.
And are we any closer to figuring out what the market rate lease
I am working
is?
on that right now. I'm hoping I will have, if nothing happens, I'm hoping that at your meeting on the 23rd, I will have you a draft of a market rate lease that you guys can at least approve, and then we can look to put it into place. Yeah. Yep. That's all I have.
Engineer Ronaldo.
I have reached out to the engineer that the auctioneer that we had used before to sell Blue Lane and property that you purchased, because that's what council authorized us to do, was to sell it via auction. So we're working on getting those things set up as well.
Okay.
You're pretty low key there tonight, Derek. Secretary Treasurer, are there any comments in that?
I'm not prepared to see. Thank you.
Why
I
not?
wanted to give you that opportunity, Jack.
Why not?
I should say that I appreciate the support and vote of confidence. I will continue to work hard for this borough as I do. Thank you.
Boards, commissions, and committees, upcoming meetings. CCAT meets on September 10th. Parks and Rec is September 11th. The Planning Commission workshop and regular meeting, I didn't see anything that it was canceled, but it was not listed on the borough website calendar. So I do have it here as 9/16, hoping I'm not wrong. We are scheduled to have our first budget meeting on the 18th.
Madam President, I'm going to request that
I was gonna,
cancel that meeting. Yes.
I couldn't remember where we landed, if we were gonna use the October workshop as the first budget meeting, or I couldn't remember where.
I spoke with the staff today. Both Jake and Paula are ready to sit down to discuss the budget. So in my meeting tomorrow, I'm going to discuss with Mr. Yost actually creating a schedule.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that he has time to meet, and he should, on Thursday, with those two departments to start to formulate this budget.
Okay, yeah, and so then we'll plan for the October workshop to be the first budget meeting.
Yes.
So then there is no budget meeting on the 18th. I had previously requested from staff if we can look at the financial interest forms for all of the borough council candidates and get me contact information from those forms so that I can invite them to our budget meetings. If they have to work with the budget, at least have them understand how we're coming up with it. And then Shade Tree meets on the 22nd. There's no approved minutes in the packet. Borough Council comments, Councilperson Brigard.
Nothing, thank you.
Nothing here.
I have one comment. At the last meeting, we had the finances. We talked about as to accounts. What was it called?
The AR report, the aging
Yes.
report.
The agent report. And one of the comments was about the market house. There have been events at the market house that are untraceable under the previous management. And I find it hard to believe that, wow, our records show unpaid balances. I'm not so sure they weren't paid. So I don't believe this council, to be fair to the vendors, prior to and now, are held to an old standard that we really have no records of. It's just a thought.
Well, I don't know that there were events on the AR report, but vendor stands.
I understand that, but I know there's accounts of vendors who paid by money orders, and I don't believe you'll be able to go in there and find a money order receipt anywhere. So
If it came to the finance department, we would.
exactly,
If it
I'm
came
saying, I
there.
don't think you would. So there's different occurrences. I don't think anybody walked away from there that we weren't aware of, that we lost money on, intentionally. So that's all I'm saying.
Anything else?
That's it.
Nothing. Councilperson?
Nothing, busy night.
Nothing.
No. I just want to say this was a great meeting. I like when we can have good conversation and when we can get a lot of stuff done. Just piggybacking on the bio stuff, I just wanted to let everyone know the amounts that we were previously led to believe that we were in and that were spent for McGinnis. From everything that I've been able to obtain out of the accounting software, those numbers were not correct. We're not looking at $400,000 of a first draw that we're waiting to get back from BIOS when it's filed. We're looking at about $60,000. That's all we've gone above the $1 million grant that we had. So
fantastic.
Yeah, I have all of the everything that was charged to those accounts. That includes the land purchase, the additional land purchases. It includes the demolition, all of everything. So it's not nearly the dire situation and chomping at the bit to get BIOS that we were led to believe it is. We're not in a bad
And you
position.
didn't credit the sale of the two properties.
Correct.
off of
I didn't
McGinnis.
even count
Yeah.
the money from those other two parcels because there's nothing that says that money was earmarked for the McGinnis anyway. It's no different than us selling the wastewater treatment plant. So I didn't even include that money in there. So we are really in a much better position, and I hope to by the 23rd to be able to have a better. Right now, it's not labeled or anything, so no one would be able to follow my brain in the way I have it laid out. So I hope to have a better copy to be able to push out to everyone. And I just wanted to share that at the end of this week, I'll be heading to State College overnight because I have been asked to serve on a committee with the Pennsylvania State Boroughs Association for the conference for next year, and I've agreed to do that. So I'm going to go to the meeting to start planning next year's conference. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Congratulations.
Yes,
Yeah.
good for you.
And you know, it's all about when people think about things, and I want them to think, oh, what about that person from Columbia? What about Columbia? What about Columbia? And so we have reached that point where people are thinking, oh, let's go grab Columbia. So, all right. Announcement of next meeting at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, September 23rd. Council will hold a regular meeting. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilperson Geezy, second by Councilperson Kaufman, to adjourn at 9:31 p.m. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? We are adjourned. Why is it so freaking cold in here?